right, you may begin.
Hi everybody. So have you guys, anybody who voted, will you raise your hand? This year? Voted? Only 2 people? Okay, so everybody who didn't vote, how do you feel about letting complete strangers decide about what's best for you? Not only you, but your family. Not good, right? Well, especially because education, economy, and healthcare are all very important things to all of us. And then probably one of the most important things, it's a mutual interest, the environment. So we just learned about that. So my speech is my vote. And I'm Robin Fox. I have actually just learned how to vote, and I'm 34 years old. And I was in the military, and it took me a long time to learn how important it is to vote. Because it's not just about you, but it's about your family, it's about your children, it's about your future, it's also about the past. Because voting is about, it takes a long time to see progress, to see change. So I'm kind of like behind on the game because I'm 34 and I was never taught how to vote. I was never taught how to register, even though I was in the military and I had So I 100% believe in motivating people to vote now. And I wish we had a little more of that, but I'm doing the best I can do for you guys. So voting is your right. As a US citizen, it's your right to vote. You have a choice, although you might not feel like it in certain things. Especially if you are young, you need to be involved, you need to know what's going on. If you have a career, some things like teachers, voting for like higher wages for teachers, of getting a political, also I just want to make it known that this is a bipartisan speech. I'm not going for Democrat, Republican. This is just strictly to get everybody to try and vote. And then you must represent what you believe in, whether that's religion, whether it's government or whatever it is. You must vote for it. You must vote to represent who you are, especially if you are a minority, if you're a woman, if you're a man. You need to vote. You must vote in the best interest of you and your family, just for future purposes. You might have kids who are in college. We're all in college now. We need to know what's going on with the student loan forgiveness. We need to know what's going on with interest rates, because as the new year comes, we will all have to pay back any student loans that we've made, and the pause is going to end soon. So we need to know about that and the interest that we'll start to build on those loans. But a little bit of voting history. In the 1970s, voting was only limited to white male property owners. In the short 100 years later, African American men were denied the right to vote still, and their voting barriers were still they held a lot of voting barriers, no matter who it was. And only by the 1920s, women were allowed to vote, and that included white women, any woman. So in the 1960s, the southern states blocked many Americans from voting. People who have been here, who have earned the right to vote, there was a lot of things like poll taxes, literacy tests, things just to block people from voting, and then party switching, and things progressing pretty much. And on March 7th, 1965, Alabama state troopers attacked a peaceful protesters during a march from Selma to Montgomery, now known as the Bloody Sunday March. In the 1970s, young people finally earned the right to vote, and that was with the help of the Vietnam War and students being motivated to vote. And the reason that they let people, otherwise the voting age was 21. And when the Vietnam War came, a lot of the men and women were under 21. They're 18. They were draftees. They were sent, and they were sent to war to fight a war that they weren't even able to vote in. So just keep that in mind. That only 40, 50 years ago, that was not even available to us. And 2000s election reform, and that would be from, if you recall, the Bush administration and Florida not getting their votes counted. So they were trying to get the election to the ballots and everything. In 2013, voting barriers are ramped up once again. In 2020s, Donald Trump had made major claims of voting fraud. So you just need to make sure you get registered to vote. And this is pictures from the Bloody Sunday March where peaceful protesters were murdered by Alabama troopers. I just wanted to talk about the Civil Rights Act. It prohibited the discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Hiring, education, and federally assisted programs are all very important things to us. And that's what the Civil Rights Act directly affected. Voting apathy. A major thing that stops people from voting is voting apathy. It is the lack of interest among voters in elections. Joni Miner, Spanish major, said the reason is that she didn't vote is because I don't like politics, and also because I haven't researched the candidates, so I don't know their proposals, and I can't have an opinion on them right now. I would say the answer to that is to get informed. Know who is out there. Know who has your best interests in mind. Know who has a plan of action, who is going to follow through with that plan of action for the best interest of you and your family. Well, before that, I meant to say, I wanted to ask, should not voting be illegal? And I said no, because it's still America, we still have a choice to do whatever we want. But not voting could take certain freedoms away from you that you might not even know about. And to move forward to change, I strongly believe Generation Z, anybody born after 1996, will help us move towards positive change. Those are our future teachers, our future leaders, everybody, and if they are pushed and informed to be motivated to vote now, we could take control of that, because we're already living in old laws that are outdated, that no longer really apply to us and our families. So 85% of Generation Z voters plan to vote. That's a lot. That's a huge turn, and only time will tell if Generation Z voters turn out. And I believe they do. The top Generation Z issues are racial equity, the environment, inflation, the economy, and reproductive rights. The young women's top issue was racial equity, and for the young men, it was inflation. And non-binary, their top issue was LGBTQ rights. And the second right overall with non-binary women and men, the mutual interest, the environment was the second most issue worried about. So the call to action would be to do your research, know who's out there. You can always use Google. Know who has your family's best interest in mind. Stay current on issues that affect you. And then the conclusion would be to vote. Register to vote. You need to have your ID, your location, your address, and everything on your ID before then. There's also early voting from October 26th to November 7th. And if you can get an early ballot in then, or if you can go home, because a lot of us are students, to where we're from and vote there. That would be a lot easier. Election day is on November 7th, it already passed, so that was why I asked everybody. And if you can, just try to motivate the younger generation to vote, because it's extremely important to all of us. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was that voting sometimes, right, it's a really boring subject, like it's politics, but we all have the power to be a part of it. We all have to move together collectively as a community, as an economy, and then also just to keep things going smoothly. Because with everything that has gone on lately in politics, I think that we should all be in control of it ourselves, so that we don't have to watch it play out in a way that we feel like we're not in control of. So I hope that everybody votes, no matter what party you are. We all have that mutual interest, Mother Earth and the economy and stuff like that. So just keep those things in mind. Thank you.